I kind of do it. Oh, sure. Go for it.
Hello everybody. I'm a little nervous, so if I start, with my pants, let me know.
But yeah, so like I was just saying, this is something we want to do more of related to this topic, obviously other topics too, so if there's any other suggestions that you guys can think of as we, go forward for other seminars, please let us know. Obviously James is a pharmacist. I am a personal trainer nutrition coach. And obviously today we're talking about CBD. If you guys have any questions as we go along, there you go. Feel free to shout them out too.
You expected that.
Feel free to shout them out too as we go along. We can kind of keep it open and formal. Of course, we'll have some Q&A at the end. But yeah, cool. Sounds good. Does anyone have anything before we get started? Yeah.
CBD.
Oh, we'll get that.
Perfect.
Perfect timing.
Could not have planned that better ourselves.
First line.
So, what is CBD?
So, it is exogenous plant-based cannabinoid. What the heck does that mean? Now, everybody, including mammals and other different species of animals, has something called endocannabinoid system in the body. Okay? What that does, it maintains the homeostasis, which means the balance of the body, and a lot of different physiological functions of the body. Okay? Now, sure, so exogenous, meaning it's from the outer source. Everybody also creates this endogenous cannabinoid, everybody in the body, called Ananda. But unfortunately, the amount of that's created body is extremely small. However, extremely powerful when it's activated. It activates your endocannabinoid system. So there are two different receptors that you will hear a lot of. One is CB1 and CB2. What is that? So CB1 is majorly in your brain, your cerebellum, many different parts in your central nervous system. So more like the core of your body. Now CB2 is more all around your peripheral portion of your body, your nerves, extremities, and things like that. So when you take this CBD oil, the idea is it will activate this endocannabinoid system, which governs the whole different parts of the body, to get those positive effects, which can be so many different things right now. And every day I feel like I'm definitely learning something new every single day, whether it's pain. We'll definitely go over all that. So CBD is basically it's a compound that we are getting this from plant, which is hemp plant. We'll definitely go over what that is.
Since we had this question earlier too, just to differentiate, CBD is not weed or marijuana. So essentially, the way that we were talking about it earlier is it's like looking at if you're looking at an apple, right? There's a golden delicious apple, and there's a Granny Smith apple or a red delicious, right? It's all the same. It's all an apple, but they're different types. So essentially, CBD or hemp is a different species of the same plant, if that makes any sense.
The same plant genus.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
So to dig a little deeper, CBD is one of the type.
Hi, how you
One
doing?
of the type of the compound. So there is CBAT. So we're going to talk about this a little later as well.
Do you want me to move it back there? Is that better?
There is something called certificate of analysis on every bottle that we sell here. Okay. Now, so when you look at it shows the full spectrum, and again we'll go over what full spectrum means. But CBD is one of those compounds. There are many different compounds out there, so that actually that are called exogenous plant-based cannabinoids, also called phytocannabinoids. There are about 60 of them out there. Okay, so we try to harness all of those and put it into an oil form, or capsule form, or salve, and hopefully it will positively affect our body in that sense. Any questions so far?
Phyto means from plants, plant-based.
Yeah, right, from plant-based. Absolutely.
All right, so we talked about what it is. Now we're going to get into a little bit of what it does. So we're going to play a little fact or myth here. So, fact or myth, what do you guys think? CBD will get you high? Myth. Myth, yes, that is correct. That is a myth. So, like I just mentioned, it's from a different species. It's from the same species, but a different genus of that species, I think is technically.
So
those.
to elaborate more on that, so this is a very difficult part for me whenever I try to talk to customers about it. I have to say, well, they extracted the good stuff, and I have to make sure that I say the medicinal stuff. You know, a lot of people do ask that question. So what that gives that high effect when someone would smoke marijuana, there is something called THC. That's a chemical, just like CBD. Okay, CBD is a chemical, just like that. There's something called 9-THC. That has a psychoactive property that can give you that euphoric feeling of getting high and all good or bad stuff, depends on how you put it. Now, so the law that was just passed at the end of 2018, the Farm Bill. Now, that allowed for anybody to make CBD oil that has less than 0.03%.
0.3.
Right, 0.3% of the THC, so that you don't have those psychoactive effects. So actually, in Europe, it's called sativa. There is a medication version of it. It's actually a combination of at 1-to-1 ratio of THC and CBD. Now, whether that's not legalized here yet, that's an again on the legality issue that's available. And there is a medication called Marinol, or dronabinol is a generic name, that is available in the United States as a prescription, but not for this purpose. Because it's a technicality issue, I guess, in a way, and also a legality issue, because when a medication is made, right, they may promote or send it into FDA for testing for one type of indication, right? And anything else, even though it might have good positive effect, if they cannot prove it with the clinical study, it's pretty rigorous, because when it takes almost about 10 years to start from the making medication to getting it. So
What is Marinol used to treat?
it's usually used for cancer patients with appetite issues.
Okay.
So, and again, that's actually a little different with this.
Okay.
It's different with the CBD oil, but it's, and again, that similar family that's being who's ever taught now. A lot of studies that they're doing right now with hemp plant or CBD oil, Marinol generally pops up as well. Can this help with that? Other things as well.
Okay.
As of right now,
Is Marinol CBD or
No.
something different?
it's something different, something chemically different. Now, to be honest with you, that's generally not covered, and the price on that is higher than the CBD oil.
Why
so.
is that not covered? Because of the class of drug that it is?
No, it also has to meet that specific indication that you're having. For, I mean, generally speaking, if you don't have, God forbid, if I don't have cancer, the insurance is not going to cover it if I don't have specific symptoms for that. So that's a different story, and I will definitely keep you posted on that. If you
Someone wanted to, is it recreational?
no, but it is
Why
controlled
would-
medication.
Oh, okay.
It is a controlled
Because
medication.
why would someone want to take it if they absolutely don't need it?
Right? They won't. You'll be surprised. With many different medications out
Opioids,
there.
I get
so.
it, I get it.
Yes.
Yes.
What is it that is, approved for seizure disorder?
Well, if we're talking about seizure disorder, we can go on and on and on about many different anti-epileptic
No, I'm
medications.
talking about THC.
Well, there is anything actually approved per se as a medication-wise. There has been.
I thought it was.
Well, I think I'm not 100% sure about that. I know there is a medical marijuana that kids actually, I think we had actually a customer here a long time ago ended up moving to Colorado because their child had a lot of different seizures, and unfortunately medication was not helping them. They ended up moving where the medical marijuana was legalized and actually had the child take the medical marijuana and showed great effect. Now, along that line, CBD oil, there are different case reports out there saying that CBD oil also help many different not just human, but also dogs and animals as well, with controlling seizures. But right now, it's not 100%. There is no actual clinical study saying it's good for that. Actually, a lot of these, the effect that we're seeing, there's not actually 100%. Study with the double-blinded, placebo-controlled trials like that. It's more we're getting more and more case reports and some meta-reviews and such.
The truth is, it's very new. So whether
It
you
is.
talk about it from the legal perspective or insurance covering perspective, or from just, oh, will it help with this, help with that? It's, anecdotally, there are a lot of things that it helps with. It's more just, for the clinically proven stuff, we just need more research and time, essentially, if that makes sense. I will say, too, going back to your question about the TSA stuff, we ship our CBD, and we've shipped it to Virginia, to Phoenix, and haven't had any issues shipping it. So I guess it's just a I keep saying TSA thing. So, it's kind of...
Put it on your carry-on.
Yeah, right.
Listen, put it if you wanna, put it in your luggage.
Sure.
Why not? Yeah, you
I don't think there's an
The
issue.
HEMS, the HEMPZ.
Uh-huh.
Okay, this is sold in a lotion.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, is this part of, I bought that in a beauty supply store.
Absolutely.
It's all over the place.
It's all over the place. As
And
in,
that's part of it?
when you go to markets, grocery markets, you will see hemp seed oil.
I saw that.
Now, as a dietary, just to cook with. Now, those are more geared towards for omega-3, as in to help with your anti-inflammatory effect and things like that. That's, well, I cannot say that with confidence because I don't know if there are obviously many different products out there, but the extraction, we're going to talk about this too, the way that it's made. CBD oil compared to those, it's completely different. How they take all the CBD stuff out of the plant and the oil, the process is much, much different.
So for we'll get into this too later, but typically if you want something that is, like for example, this. Oh, okay, this says cannabis sativa seed oil.
Right, well that's hemp oil.
Right, so typically what you want to look for, if you're looking for that, obviously, so like I eat hemp seeds in general, and
Right.
smoothies, that kind of stuff, but that's not CBD, that just has, it's anti-inflammatory kind of stuff. Typically, you'll see something that says active cannabinoids
Right.
on the label, and that's how you know it's stronger in particularly the
Or
CBD,
actually purity of it
or the
as well.
purity of it
And
too.
when I bought this, I just bought it as like a lotion.
Exactly, it's
Yeah.
all over the place.
Yeah.
As I was commuting down today, driving down Route 17, I saw a couple different gas stations actually with a banner showing CBD oil.
That's
It is
In
all over the
salad,
place,
yeah,
and
like
online,
like arthritic hands,
you know,
When you
Feet.
see CBD oil, you don't know the quality and the purity,
You don't.
purity of it.
you actually
Sure.
don't.
I mean, it
You
keeps
know,
me awake, I don't.
typically
And
I'm sure it's
the
out there all
salves
over,
that
but
are
we
out
don't
there,
really know
or
where
the
you get it.
lotions,
You know,
there's not as strong.
one of the
They're
major
good for
reasons
less pain, that kind of stuff,
why
but
we are
still
having
the
this
tinctures,
is
pain
you have
comes
to
from your receptors in
bring
the
it
brain
down
too,
to
so
earth a
even
little bit.
taking the oil should help with that kind of stuff, even going down to your extremities as well. But if there is a localized, like we'll talk about that a little bit too, but I use it on my knees, especially for exercise-related inflammation and that kind of stuff. So yeah, well, actually related to that, so here's a claim I found on Amazon. Within about 20 minutes, the pain in my hip was almost gone. What do you guys think, fact or myth?
Happened to me.
Yeah. So this one's a little trickier.
It is very tricky. It is very tricky.
This one's a little trickier.
Now,
I put myth on it.
right. And we actually had a discussion about this amongst ourselves. Like, are we
Right.
gonna put this as a fact or as a myth? Because anecdotally, you're absolutely right. We have seen multiple people. Even one of the customers came to me. I think it was a lady had a surgery in her mouth for a tooth extraction or tooth issue. She had a tooth issue, and then she didn't have any painkillers. So she got some of the CBD oil and dropped it in, and said she couldn't feel it anymore. I don't know if that's entirely true, but clearly there is certain, analgesic effect to the with the CBD.
Yeah,
Obviously,
I found it works almost immediately, and because I had a broken arm, so,
Right.
but I also have a chronic inflammatory SI joint, and so while I was doing it for my arm, it made me walk again.
Sure, yeah.
So it can
Sure.
do more than one thing in your
Absolutely.
body.
Totally.
Yeah.
I was reading into that actually. So there are different types of pains, right? There is the major thing that's most studied and most shown efficacy with is with the anti-inflammatory pain. So from what you're saying is yes, when you break an arm, there's a whole lot of inflammation going on in your obviously the broken bone. So that will obviously help with the pain. When we first try to brought this into our pharmacy, what I try to read up on is a safety profile. Because it's one thing of just not working. It's totally a different issue of being unsafe. So that's the most thing I'm worried about when it comes as a pharmacist. And that's another reason I wanted to host this seminar because, as you see, that you can get this anywhere. You know, and I wanted to bring up some. Listen, you still want to be careful a little bit because it's so new. And you know what? As far as I can see so far, there's minimal side effect, which is a good thing. I'm still a little. Do I still believe that? I don't know. In the long run, who knows, right? But as of right now, the side effect is fairly minimal. I did hear some people told me they actually cause headache, a little bit of nausea, but that's mostly majorly because of taste of the oil. They doesn't agree with you sometimes, and they actually then start taking capsule and did much better. Drowsiness, another side effect, but then for me that's kind of the point. I kind of want that effect. So you know, it can be a side effect, it might not be a side effect, so it depends.
Now, is it something that you can use as needed or something that you need to use
Good
on a
question.
That's a very
regular
good question.
basis? And can you become dependent on it?
Let me answer the last question. No, you cannot get dependent on it.
Okay.
There is no, so I just read the reviews that I read, okay? So they did a little trial for people who had a lot of seizures, okay? And they did about 3 to 4 milligram per kilo per day. So that's almost 210 milligrams for a 70 kilo man, which is about 140 pounds about.
Yeah,
About-
a little higher, but
Oh,
yeah.
a little higher than that, but about general. That's 210 milligram. That is 210 dropper full of our the lowest strength one. So that's a lot.
That is an
And
awful lot.
however, they didn't see any toxicity, no dependency, and no side effect, which is a good thing. And as of right now, the Ananda product that we have, or when we talk to them, they don't have a max dosing on the supplements. However, there might be, they do say there's some room of bell curve. So just because you take more doesn't mean, there is a point that we should take to that might help you. But at one point, if you're, let's just say, drinking the whole bottle, per se, if it's not helping you, then maybe it's just not going to work on you. You know, taking a little bottle is not going to help, you know?
I think the
So-
point to emphasize too with this is the dosage varies greatly person to person, and that's
Absolutely.
obviously based on, you know, weight, size, your natural metabolism, all that kind of stuff too, but also the exact issue. If it's anxiety, is it, you know, a certain type of pain, is it a broken bone, is it, so it kind of really varies person to person. To wrap that up and to say what, you were going to answer her other question? Yeah.
The other question with the dosing, generally, a lot of people actually, as far as I see, people say they, after first dose, they see effect, okay? Some people do take it on a daily basis because it's not just for pain, it has many different neuroprotective effects. Memory is an issue, obviously, with the, yeah, absolutely. You know, we've seen help with kids with ADHD, kids with autism, also has a different, a positive effect on your immune system. So, yeah, with that, you know, do I take it every single day? I try to be honest with you. I think I probably take 6 days out of 7 days out of a week. I try to take the medication before I go to bed.
It just sounds too good to be true. Like,
That's exactly right.
like it's a miracle.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
I
that's
had-
one of the reasons I wanted to put
That's
this
how
thing
I
up here
feel.
too.
Yes.
My doctor prescribed Percocets, which are opioids,
Right.
Yes.
and this works better.
Of course.
And it's
Yeah.
not an opioid.
I mean,
I'm like, I want to shout it from the rooftops. It is
Trust
almost
me,
a miracle.
that's
yeah.
one of the
Yeah.
major reasons we actually wanted to have the seminar is so that I actually want to bring it down to
Yes,
earth a
I
little
have
bit
spinal stenosis.
because it is.
Oh,
Chronic.
yeah.
The media glorifies it,
Did you try
mystify
it?
it, you
No,
know?
I never
I really
tried
wanted
it.
to kind of break it down and try to read actual studies and case reports
I
that is
came
actually
here
relevant.
because
So hopefully, but so far, personally
to receive
speaking and
some
from the thing, the
education
studies I
on it,
read,
and
it
to
definitely
make
shows
sure
good
if
positive
I do
effects so
choose
far.
to try it, I'm getting a
So
positive
we
product.
kind of answered
You
all
don't
of this a
know
lot,
if
but
it's
obviously
Alright.
CBD is all
Next
marketing and
question.
hype. Yeah, clearly that is a myth. So there's a lot of efficacy behind it, and that's what we're going to talk into now. James has already talked about a lot of this,
Oh,
but
I did.
if you want to keep,
Sure.
Bring up.
Antinociception, pain. That's what it just pain. Cognitive memory for people. There are more studies coming out on that, I believe. Right now, I haven't seen a definitive study that's saying it works. Unfortunately, it's more theoretical. I may have not gone into it yet, or maybe just not studied yet. But there are a lot of theoretical saying that it might help with it, but I haven't actually seen anything yet. Now, locomotor activity, endocrine function, temperature control, nausea, vomiting. I mean, it's a lot of different things. Now, out of all this, I'm still trying to study more on the immune recognition and the anti-tumor effects. But from what I've seen so far, it does help. I'm still trying to, and again, it's too good to be true, so I'm trying to read up on more of myself and see how many people did they actually study. You know, how many people, what's the population I'm talking about here? So hopefully I'll give you guys more update on that. Inflammation is one of the major things that actually does show many efficacy with that for the number of people. Anti-inflammatory effect with the pain, with the local remote activity, tremors for people with Parkinson's disease.
My husband has Parkinson's.
Actually, with tremor, I think we actually have a video clip of it later that will show you.
Wow.
It's shown a lot of different great effect with the tremor as well. Sure.
So have you heard of any studies with glaucoma?
That's a thing too.
Yeah.
I saw that they have intraocular pressure, it helps with that, but unfortunately, I haven't come across actual findings on that. I'm actually looking for them myself.
CBD or THC.
Whatever I can find, I'm going to try to look into it myself. Now,
I think a lot too, where just to cut you off for a second, where a lot of the marketing hype and oh my god, this is good for everything kind of stuff comes from. Obviously, a lot of the stuff we're talking about that it's proven for anxiety, pain, and a lot of this stuff is related to, you know, our whole neurological system, our brains, that kind of stuff. Like we were talking about earlier, there's something called your parasympathetic nervous system that is connected to your stomach essentially. So if this is having a positive impact on your brain, at the same time it's having a positive impact on your stomach in a lot of ways. And once you start saying, oh hey, this positively impacts my stomach, well, my stomach controls, you know, how I absorb nutrients, and how I absorb nutrients controls literally every other function in our body. So I think that's where a lot of the hype comes from, because it's supposedly, since this has a positive effect up here, and it also therefore must have a positive effect in some ways on our stomachs too, therefore it must have a positive effect on every single thing in our body. So that's where a lot of, I believe, just anecdotally, a lot of the marketing hype comes from, because they kind of just like, if A equals B, then B equals C, then A must equal C, kind of thing. I'm a math nerd, but you know, that's kind of where it comes from, you know?
So, I mean, this table is not it's not really for specific things that I'm telling you. It's more about the fact that what I want to portray here, some of the from neuropathic pains for people with HIV, chronic pains, multiple sclerosis, rheumatoid arthritis, many different hip replacement therapies. So, you know, there are studies that are done. So that's the major thing I wanted to portray here. What I want to really portray is that there are studies that's being done, and they're working on it. And then I am trying to read up on all these studies as much as possible.
I'm sorry.
No,
I'm
you're
sorry
fine.
with the questions.
It's okay.
How long has it been used, and has it been used by any cultures that we're unaware of?
Well, when it comes to actual CBD oil, I mean, listen, if you want to go back to marijuana age, you can go 100 years ago, right? I mean, because back in the day, well, I'm talking like really, really long time ago, this definitely has a therapeutic effect, you know? So that's what they actually used to smoke to, no, I mean, not just that, heroin, all those, you know, dangerous narcotics that we are aware of, at one point, they were used as a treatment, right? So in that sense, it does that. Now, a lot of these studies actually has to do with the one with Marinol, Sativex, which is the medication I talked to you about with the THC and CBD. So when it comes to the efficacy of the specific studies of the CBD oil, it's pretty minimal at the point. Okay? So what I'm trying to get to it is that it was already out there, right? Obviously, and there were many different studies on the pill version and things like that. Now, with that, they made it over the counter because hopefully to get rid of most of the side effect that you can get from these products. So, you know, and again, more and more we are definitely going to try to update you guys on more studies or more findings that I do see, more scientific proof that I can find. We'll push it up there.
And how long did they start doing the scientific studies? A year,
Well,
5 years?
with the specific CBD oil, the latest study that I've been reading, the more meta study, that's a more different research they did, I think 2013, 2010. So believe it or not, that's pretty
10
recent.
years.
That's very new actually. So to get studies around 2013 is pretty new. So that's where I saw many different studies around that time frame. So I hope that answers your questions. But hopefully we'll get more of it as we go along.
What did you say about,
Okay, see you soon.
what, did they reduce the dosage?
Oh no.
Over
So the
counter?
Medicaid, so the prescription here, Sativex, as I told you, has a THC and a CBD. THC, unfortunately, is a
Yeah, all
psychoactive
of
effect.
those are
Right.
THC and
So they took that out, obviously, because it has
Oh,
more
okay.
psycho effects
Right.
in the body. So they took that part out and then made it to CBD, which Now, does THC actually has a medicinal effect? Yes, it does. It does, absolutely. It's just that obviously they made it into medication with it. However, it's a side effect that the people could not deal with. Right? That's why we not allow us to smoke weed for that reason. So, they try to take away, we're trying to, obviously, you can't have everything that we want, I wish we can, but then they try to take the good parts out of it and minimizing the side effect profile, and because the most number one important thing, the way I see it, is safety. Is it safe for us? Not working is one thing, but not being safe is a completely different story.
I think in the next, let's see, we have some. Okay, so these are.
Other possible effects, obviously, there are tons, as you can see.
Yeah, and like a lot of what I said too, I think where a lot of it comes from is from the fact that it can affect your brain and therefore your stomach and therefore everything in your body. So, did you have a question? Sorry.
I'm sorry,
It's okay.
I wrote a list of them, I was in public education.
That's what we're here
That's how
for.
I do this thing. Okay, I noticed that appetite hunger, is it an appetite increaser or
Yeah, as far as I
decreaser?
know, yes, increase your appetite.
Okay, so it does possibly make you eat more when you use it? Like if you're trying to lose weight, this will work against you or in your favor or
Because
against?
marijuana, one of them.
That's all.
Right,
whatever
munchies.
they say,
Right.
It decreases my appetite and it increases my husband's appetite. So it's just a
Uh-huh.
personal thing.
Okay.
Right now, I will get back to you on that. I'm gonna try to see if I can find more actually things on that, whether with the appetites. I will catch up on that later.
Okay, because it has benefits, but women, we want to be skinny, so we'll sacrifice the benefits to be skinny.
Oh, there's the Parkinson.
Yes.
So we have a couple.
Oh, wow.
We won't play the whole things here. I'm not sure there's volume. There's
No.
volume up here.
Oh, wow.
I mean, volume really is irrelevant. So I jump a little bit.
Tweak. Remember your shape. Don't do too much, you're gonna be asleep all night. You know what you should do?
I believe he's using a medical marijuana. I believe it's like a tube. I don't think it's a cookie. I'm not exactly sure what it is. I think it's oil that you are rubbing on his mouth.
Is very important in regulating motor activity, the very type of activity that is impaired in Parkinson's disease. From animal experiments, we also know that boosting certain.
And this is after, I think, about 5 minutes. Much, obviously,
Did you guys see lunch?
There you go. I guess it's not very.
it's definitely a lot. There is showing efficacy on that.
Really easy marijuana. It makes me pretty angry that I can't get it well.
Obviously, it's from a while ago. That's why you can get it from his own state.
Well, how available is it in New Jersey anyway?
Well, actually, I know that people can get the medical marijuana card. I personally don't know the extent on how to getting that one, and I heard that it definitely. It hurt. Apparently, there are people that says that it's extremely expensive
Yeah.
to go to the
You
medical
guys want my
marijuana
social security
program.
number too? Let me know.
It's funny. Very good. This was John's laptop.
It is. But
That's on his birthday.
John just shrunk by half.
Okay, while he's doing that, can I get?
Go ahead, absolutely. I'll answer whatever I can, absolutely.
All right, now, say you take medication for
Sure.
high blood pressure and cholesterol. Are there any contraindications?
That's
Any
a great
types?
question, and I'm
Thank
gonna
you.
get
You're
into that. I
welcome.
was gonna get into that, but let's see this first.
Oh,
Actually,
this is
child
the
having a
kid with the
seizure,
seizure.
they just give the oil by the mouth.
Yeah, I've been reading a lot about
Yeah.
it for a long time about seizure disorder.
Now, I just want to make something very clear. By no means we're saying that CBD oil is replacing any seizure medication. That's not what we're saying here. There are different rescue seizure medication, Diastat, which is a diazepam gel, or midazolam nasal spray that we actually compound for many seizure patients that we have. The whole point we're trying to get with this is that
no one is going to hand us the agenda we voted for. We must fight for it.
That's the ad. Just make that clear.
I would think that.
Here he is, having one of those things, Tim.
Oh, my dog is so excited.
It's hard for me to get this in spray. But
Oh, it's a spray.
CBD oil. It's oil. It's oil. We do have one for pets as well, in a bacon flavor. Absolutely.
My dog has seizures.
We have one.
No, he's only 2.
one second.
He's a beagle. It's very common for beagles. Yeah, and the vet doesn't want to put him on medicine because he's going to make idiopathic seizures, so it's like no rhyme or no reason it happens.
You good, how are you? You okay?
For pets too, it's good for separation anxiety,
Yes.
weather anxiety, that kind of stuff.
Other things as well. Now, please consult with your veterinarian first. I personally experienced some that praise it, some don't. So make sure that you speak to them first before. But we do have a bacon flavor for dogs and cats.
Oh my God.
Yes, we do have it, and that's generally dosed by the weight. And we actually will give you a little card depending on how much your dog or cat weigh. You will give certain amount of drops.
So if your vet doesn't, I have a 2-year-old beagle, and it's very common amongst beagles to have seizures.
Absolutely, yes.
But my vet won't give him any medicine, which is I'm okay with that
Sure.
because it's idiopathic. He's calling it, so there's no rhyme, there's no reason. And he never loses
Right.
consciousness. He's like
Right,
that dog. He's
right,
awake
right.
the whole time. He's never hurt himself or hurt anyone. But he doesn't want to give him any medicine without doing, $4,000 worth of testing first.
Right.
So I don't know how he would say what he would say about the oil, but I'm very interested.
Right, I mean, obviously, because it's a great, start off, obviously.
Yeah.
So essentially when you're talking about, like we alluded to earlier, there's CBD all over the place. You can get gummies at the gas station,
Creams, the
it's all
nail
over the
salons.
place. So there are a couple things that we just wanted to point out that you should look for when you're looking for a product. And honestly, a lot of these reasons are one of the reasons we chose to carry this product too. Obviously, we wanted to make sure if we were gonna, before we even got into carrying CBD here, we wanted to make sure, one, the research made sense. Clearly CBD in general has, some proven clinical benefits. It's a good thing for us to recommend, that kind of stuff. So make sure we were educated. Then the flip side, obviously, that we were carrying something in here that, wasn't crap, basically. And so one of the first things that we think that you should look for is a certificate of analysis. So this is true with a lot of different products out there, but a lot of companies make stuff, and honestly, it's true in the supplement industry as a whole, especially because there's less regulation on it. What you see on the label is not always what's actually in it. So you could see something that says, oh yeah, there's even vitamin D, 5,000 IUs of vitamin D, and maybe it's, there's only actually when tested in a lab, 2,000 in there or something like that. It can be, it's off by a crazy amount. So you want to make sure that the manufacturing processes are good and high quality of the brand that you're choosing. A lot of the good ones too, ours does, but there's other ones that I've seen as well, will include a certificate of analysis showing the potency, showing the purity, all of that kind of stuff on the product. It depends, for this next one, an ingredients list. This is the nutrition coach in me, but when you are looking for a product in general, even beyond CBD, the shorter the ingredients list, typically the more close to being a whole food product is. So like if you buy almonds, right, when you see that, well, there's the ingredients list said almonds, that's it, right? So the closer or the shorter it is, typically the purer it is. Not always the case. Like even, for example, on our salve, it's got a lot of different stuff in there, so it could still be natural stuff. It's not like a make or break rule, but it's just something to look for in general. The other thing to keep in mind with that too, whatever you are looking for, whatever ingredient you're looking for should be closer to the top of the list. That is what's predominantly in that food in general, or the opposite, right? If you're looking at something that's high in sugar, you'll see fructose, sucrose, glucose at the top of the list, right? So in those cases, maybe you want to have that lower down the list, but for something like this, you want to see hemp oil extract closer to the top of the ingredients list, preferably at the top of the ingredients list. That's how you know it's just more pure of a product in general. The other thing too, I mentioned the flour in here. So when you're looking for this full spectrum, which we'll get to in the next one, typically where you find a lot of those cannabinoids are in the flour too. So obviously there's going to be other aspects of the plant that are incorporated into these things too, but specifically the flour. I mentioned earlier, I take, in smoothies, I'll use hemp seeds. The seeds don't have the same benefits, so it matters which part of the plant that the CBD is coming from. The full spectrum, so you can fill some stuff in here too as you see fit, but essentially CBD is just one cannabinoid. It's just one part of a whole spectrum of cannabinoids that have different benefits of varying degrees, and if you want to maximize those benefits, it's that full spectrum all working together that maximizes the benefit that you would get from taking a CBD oil in general.
So, as I mentioned before, there are 60 different cannabinoids. So, CBD is just one of them. Now, also, there are terpenes. I don't know if anyone heard of terpene. It's actually in every flower. There are trichomes. It's also in every flower as well. It is all natural. That's what we try to get closest to. And it's the anti effective that all that helps protect the flower is in the oil. Hopefully that gives us the same advantage or same positive effect that we can get from it.
Active cannabinoids. We were talking about this earlier before we actually started too, but typically you'll see, if you don't see active cannabinoids, there's usually part of that, I don't know the right way to phrase it, but typically you want to look for something that says active cannabinoids, because that's how you'll know, oh, this is actually the good stuff
right.
that you want to get in there. Typically that will show a quality product as well. If it doesn't say it, I think the rule of thumb is divide whatever by half, right?
Yeah, I think about that half might be the, because obviously some of there's marketing things going on there, and they can definitely just say from hemp seed oil 300 milligrams. It doesn't.
We had discussed that when I came, and you were saying with the 300 milligrams it should be cannabinoid should be 10, and for 600 milligrams should be 20 at least.
Okay, so
right?
that's okay. I see where the confusion with that is as well. Now, unfortunately, a lot of these CBD products, just like ours, right now is a 600 on it, okay? That 600 means that entire content holds 600 milligrams, okay? Now, 600 milligrams can be held in 10 mLs or 1 ounce, 10 ounces, right? It can be depending on, but it's still, no matter what the size of it is, it will only hold 600 milligrams of the strength. Now, what that means is you have to look at the strength. Now, this is with anything, not just the CBD oil. You have to look at the actual strength of the content. That specific one is actually 20 milligram per 1 ml. So the drop
active cannabinoids.
Of active cannabinoid, yes. So that 20 milligram represents active cannabinoids in 1 ml. 1 ml is a 1 full dropper full. 1 ml is a pretty small amount. Specifically for you, Ms. Williams, when I saw, it says that about, as far as I remember, I think it says about 24 milligrams
24.
of the, I'm not sure if it's an active cannabinoid, but anyway, it said that's what the ingredient was per ml, as far as I remember. I might
No, you're right.
with that.
That's
Yeah,
what it
so,
was, yeah.
there are different strengths out there with that. So so for example, that specific one, right, that one we have right now, the 600 milligram, we also have, is it 600? Yeah, we have 1,000 milligram. Now, the difference, the strength is same, it's still 20 milligrams per ml, that's 30 ml. The other 1,000 milligram that we have is 50 ml, so just a larger quantity. Okay, so that's actually most misconception that people that have, and also unfortunately, people kind of fall for, oh, this must be better because there's 2,000 milligram in it. In what content? That's what you want to look at. That you want to look at for example, they can say serving size, right? I'm sure you can definitely relate to that. When you buy a cookie, you can say calories, right? There's calories right on there, right? But at the top, there's serving size. It doesn't mean the whole thing gonna be 300 calories per se. It usually says 1 or 2 cookies within 300 calories. You see what I'm saying about that? So you want to look at the strength of the individual product to get the actual information on it. And of course, it has to be active cannabinoid. That's what we're shooting for.
So how do you know what dosage to take?
It's a great question.
Right now, I think I said this before, there is no specific dosing regimen. For different reasons. Number one, it's just not that much studied to give a specific dosing. Also, it is over the counter, and with the minimal side effect, and also there is no max toxicity effect, they don't really put a cap on it either. Now, what we generally recommend as of right now is that if you never tried this before, so start with 10 milligram per day. So that 10 milligram for that bottle will be a half a dropper full. Okay?
Oh, a half per.
It depends on which one.
It depends on which one you get.
Yeah.
A child too?
See, with child, now that's another different spectrum. As of right now, we don't have.
Unintended with spectrum.
Yeah. Now, I don't have a specific reason for you. I'm gonna be honest with you, but we are trying to refrain from selling it for anyone who's less than age of 18. Okay. Listen, it's.
There's not a real reason. It's
Right.
more like James was saying. It's more of the safety thing.
Right.
And lack of
It's just not
information.
right. Lack of information. There's not much studied unless they have a specific disease state like seizure. You know, absolutely, and they'll give it a try. I definitely recommend consulting with a pediatrician before trying it. You know, and kids with autism. We actually, I heard, I got a call, right, and then they definitely. So in that case, I would definitely give it a shot because the benefit is so much greater than the risk.
Right.
But will I recommend a high school child who's saying, I have a difficult time sleeping, should I take CBD oil? I wouldn't do that. As a pharmacist, I wouldn't recommend that. There are many different safer things out there that's more proven.
Okay, we're talking about that lower end of the spectrum. Are there any safeguards for people in the senior age group?
And as far as right now, no.
Good.
There actually is, which is another good thing as well. So basically, I have seen, personally speaking, with people with pain issues, I have recommended 20 milligram, 30 milligram, all the way up to 40 milligrams. Some people, one of the good thing about the tincture
one
oil-
dose?
in one dose, yes. And one of the good thing about the dose, the tincture, is that you can kind of test it out yourself. My recommendation is, Ananda actually recommends for first 3 days you start with 10 milligrams per day, okay? And because generally for me it took one shot, but some other people can take 2 to 3 days to build up and kind of feel the difference. Now, after that, people can adjust the dose accordingly for themselves. You know, now listen, if you're catching yourself doing 60, 70, 80 and it's not helping, then it's not helping, okay? I mean, there is no, as I said, some studies were done up to 210 milligrams per day, you know, so that's almost a 3/4 of the vial, so it's pretty, I would consider pretty safe to play around with the dose according to your needs.
If you're taking 10 milligrams today, how long will that bottle last? Will it go through
It
the
depends
month,
on
or-
the bottle, and it depends on, you know,
The
what
product, obviously.
product. Yeah, like for example,
That one's
this one
60 doses.
is 60, so 2 months.
If you were
That's
doing
2
one.
months supply?
For
If
this
you were
one,
doing 10
if you were-
milligrams per day,
Correct.
it will last you 2 months.
For this one. For the other one we have that's a lower dosage, it would be 1 month supply. It's just
30
not as
doses,
strong.
30 doses.
But you're still taking 300, so this is like if you're taking 300,
Okay,
that's,
I think we're still confused.
Yeah.
Let's forget about the 300 part.
alright,
When you look at it, for example, let me just show you here. So, you tell it's 600.
yeah.
Once you want to go for the 20 milligrams kind of concentration, I want you to stop thinking about the 600 because that was 600, 300, or 720, whatever it is. It just
But
represents
you're
the whole
recommending
bottle.
10 milligrams a day.
To start.
To start, so
Correct.
that's half one, so if she has to use 20 milligrams a day, then that would last you 30 days.
Correct.
That was my
Correct.
question.
Exactly.
How much are you taking for the?
Oh, I'm, for my broken arm?
Yeah.
A couple that it doesn't.
I mean,
Takes
I
you
believe
20
about
I
48
think 48.
About
48
A day?
milligrams, that's about, there will be about 2 dropper full about this.
So she's doing 24 and 24? She's splitting it?
No, I think
I
you're
know, I'm
doing one
doing it,
shot.
I'm splitting it, one,
Yeah.
half in the morning, half at night.
So,
on the
yes.
bench.
And is it the tincture or is it the cream or?
It's
The tincture.
the oil, yeah.
The oil, yes.
Someone told me the oil that she's taking orally, someone told me they use the oil on their pain.
I was wondering about that.
And they said,
Yeah.
yeah, someone told me
thinking about that
that
too.
it
You
actually helped.
absolutely can, absolutely. So now, Well, if I were to use that as an oil as topical, I can do that. It's just that it's kind of oily and obviously kind of
Because I was
dripping.
thinking of that for my husband.
Right. So we have a salve version of that,
Well,
the ointment version of it.
yeah, but someone said the oil was more effective than the sap.
Well,
I don't know.
that's. I mean, it also depends on the product,
Yeah.
obviously.
The oils in general tend to be stronger as far as the quantity of or the amount of active cannabinoids in it.
And does that have any effect with medication, like the
I
gel cell
will
might be-
definitely get into that as well. Are we finished?
Yeah, this is fine. I think we were.
So,
we can just
so
do any questions.
So here, the major point that we're trying to make here is this. As we told, as we said numerous times, this stuff is everywhere. So why use us, at least consult with us before getting the CBD product is, number one, the quality, as we mentioned a number of times. If you are our customers, and most of you are, I personally probably know you. I know the drug that you're taking. Drug interactions right now, the only one thing that they really recommend against is the warfarin. That's a blood thinner. Something called warfarin is a blood thinner. But then, in reality, warfarin almost interacts with everything, so it's a little difficult to engage on that. There are definitely more studies coming out saying that it can be a potent inhibitor of a CYP450. What that means is that yes, there can be an interaction with the medications. Okay. However, right now the problem is there isn't enough ideas with the dosage. Like for example, 10 milligrams is very little, right? Obviously, we're talking about people taking 200 milligrams and things like that. It can be dose dependent, but as of right now, there are definitely doing more and more studies out coming up with it. For example, if someone were to take a statin medication, that's a cholesterol medication, I would, how should I put this? So, one of the possible side effects of the statin medication, if it goes toxic level, is I'm gonna tell you, it's a myopathy. It's like a muscle pain, can be possible. It's a possible side effect of a statin medication. Now, so as a pharmacist, if you were to come to me and try that, personally think as a pharmacist personally, I don't think it's going to give that effect, especially at the low dose that you're starting, either 10 or 20 milligram, once or twice daily. I really don't personally think, nor I haven't seen any issues with the drug-drug interaction at the moment. It is certainly possible, but then don't let that scare you because, listen. Every medication out there, most of them will interact with some other medication you're taking. It's gonna happen.
And what about HTZ?
HTZ is a water pill. I'm not too concerned. I wouldn't be too concerned about that. So, and again, so what's the reason of using us is that if you when you use our pharmacy, and people that knows me, I personally generally know you guys, and I will say hello to you, and I'll answer any questions that you have, and if there is any type of and another thing is. As we told you before, I try to read up on this almost every single day or every other day. There's so much new things coming up. I also take it myself, personally, so I want to know about it, right? So if there's any new information that pops up, right? And, they just found the information with the, let's just say a drug interaction. I will be the first one to tell you that that's what's happening. One of the recent one that I saw, there was another thing that with the reproduction system that it was supposed to help. That's more in theory. Actually, they were testing CBD oil in mice. Now, obviously, it's a completely different species and very small amount. Apparently, it can possibly lower testosterone level in male mice. Now, am I going to steer away from me taking it? No. But what I'm trying to tell you is that I'm trying to read up on it and keep you guys posted, update you guys. That's what we try to do here, because for us, it's a very, first few steps that we're taking as a pharmacist, because we want to make you guys well, make us well, because the medication you're taking right now, I'm sure you guys have a number of you taking many different medications, it fixes problems and mends issues.
It's a Band-Aid.
Band-Aid. I mean, absolutely. Now, does that really help? Do you feel like you're living? That's a different question. People taking pain medication every single day, anxiety medication every single day. I've been there. And I'm not talking, if you people that knows me, I don't usually wear this white coat in the pharmacy. I'm just generally wearing our uniform because I want to emphasize I'm one of you guys. I'm just same person as you guys are. I have been there and done that. I had surgeries in my hand. I had, to a different degree, I've taken pills and things like that, you know, I kind of didn't like myself taking those pills, number one. I felt guilty sometimes taking these pills, and I feel weird taking these pills myself as a pharmacist. I know how it affects me in my brain, but sometimes when you need it, pop them in, right? So, you know, I'm trying to engage into, you know, as a pharmacist as a whole, you know, obviously a personal trainer here, eating habits, exercising, overall wellness program, many different supplements that you see here that I'm trying to do much studying of all these supplements, just like the CBD. You know, we as a pharmacy, HB Pharmacy, we've been here almost over 50 years. We are trying to do the whole thing, as in for the overall health. So, you know, this is actually the first few steps, and hopefully we have more seminars on many different supplements that's upcoming. So, you know, please, if you have any questions, obviously ask me.
I'm sorry.
I'll give you my cell phone number. Questions.
Okay, no, I only have 3 more.
Sure, go ahead.
Farther away here.
Sure.
You said that there is no possibility of overdose, but you should be cautious not to reach a toxic level.
You're not going to take
As of right now, there is
too expensive to
no, right. And honestly, I don't know. I mean, my bank account will probably collapse before that. I get toxic. As of right now, most studies doesn't really show many toxic effects. Okay, and there's actually a more physiological reason why you cannot overdose on it, but that's still in the study in progress. Now, and again, it's a more of a bell curve, as I said before. There is the optimal dose for you. Unfortunately, you have to find the optimal dose. If it's not helping you after 6 drops, 7, 8 drops, that means you're just not that person, unfortunately. I believe the percentage-wise, about 80% of population actually benefit from it, one way or the other. 20% didn't really feel any benefit. So that's the ratio you're looking at. If you're, you know, obviously we have someone who really works for them, right? But then there's also, even within our pharmacy, that we have many different customers coming in, right? A couple of people did tell me, you know, I took it. It didn't really harm me when you should perform, but I don't know if it really helped or not. You know, and those people I'm definitely working with to see if you can change the doses a little bit and things like that.
So this stuff only, like, if you're in pain, I'm in constant pain of my feet. It just helps kill the pain. And lower the dosage, the pain will never go away.
No, I'm talking
correct?
Right, so here's the thing. So, for example, maximum frequency I recommend is 3 times daily. Okay? Whether it's 1 dropper, 2 dropper full, 3 dropper full, I recommend, because the general half-life of the CBD oil is about 4 hours. Okay? So, I recommend up to 3 times daily. And generally you will find that dosage. Like what I mean by that is sometimes I would do half a dropper, well, less than half a dropper for the morning before I do anything. Okay. At night I do 1 full. You know, and after a few days I have found my dose that will work for me to get through the day.
But if I miss a day, the pain's going to come back anyway.
Well, I mean, listen, it's
so it has to be constant.
Right.
Okay.
In that case, yes.
It's like if you were taking, you know,
right,
Tylenol or...
Yeah, so you're coming back.
But it has less side effects,
pills for my feet.
Right.
Yeah.
The lowest dosage, it affected me terribly. I was...
Later on, after
down,
the
I
thing,
was
please tell me. I will explain more about the medication as well if you're interested.
Okay.
Yes, 2 more?
When you have, 2 more. When you have routine blood work, does it have an impact on that being in your system?
Drug test.
No, not a drug test.
Oh, okay.
Like the cholesterol.
I'll talk about that too, but
sure.
Well, I don't.
If you...
Yeah, no, that's
Well, will
your
it
job.
come up on your routine blood work? No.
No.
It won't.
Okay.
But
Depends what they're testing for.
right,
They
if
do
they're
the
testing for your
routine
drug, that's a
and all
different
that.
story.
Yeah.
Now, with the drug test,
Cholesterol.
It will show up in the drug test.
well,
If they look...
For my 4-year-old, I don't have to worry
listen.
about it.
Now, it can come out false positive. Let me explain that, okay? So, when someone who is a law officer, right, policeman, or works for fire department, things like they do get randomly drug tested, right? Or if you're in healthcare field, you do get drug tested. Can it come out false positive? The answer is possible, theoretically. I haven't seen it yet, but it is possible. However, as of February, and we actually contacted our supplier about that. As of February of this year, they recommend asking for a confirmation test. Then they dig a little deeper, okay? With the Ananda oil, the CBD oil, 100% came out negative after the confirmation. So there was some false positive that happened, but when they request a confirmation test and when they go through it, it came out negative.
And these guys have been in business for 3 or 4 years,
Yeah.
something like that. So that's a lot of time for.
Sure.
But as far as your cholesterol and all that other SGOTs and stuff,
Okay.
it would, but that, I don't know, the blood work that the doctor does yearly.
You
Will it
were
have
not
an
gonna.
impact on that?
I don't know. If anything, positive because
Oh, it'd be good.
because CBD oil, it can be used for as an omega-3 supplement as well.
Okay.
It does have a different effect of anti-inflammatory.
Alright.
So if anything, positive effect, not in a negative way. But a lot of people do ask about the drug testing.
Does it
You
work?
mentioned the warfarin before.
Yes.
Now, is that all
Blood thinners?
blood thinners or just the warfarin?
Well, there are many different blood thinners out there. Eliquis, Xarelto. Am I allowed to say all these words? There are many different ones out there as of right now, but the mechanism of action is different with warfarin. Warfarin is notorious for being interacting with so many different medications out there. For example, the major hallmark one is St. John's wort. It's a supplement. It's readily available on the counter. First thing, if someone comes that, usually people use that for depression, right, with the mood and things like that. If people ask me, first thing I have to ask is, are you on warfarin? Because yes, it can change your warfarin level. It can be up to dangerous level. So, what I'm trying to tell you is this. There are things like St. John's wort that's been out for ages, that's on the shelf as a over the counter, right? But people still take it, right? And that's the other thing, the point I'm alluding to is that's why if I know your drug profile, I will trust me, when the more drug interaction stuff comes up, I'm the first, I try to look up as almost every day. If there's any negative effect. Because, honestly, I can speak for many different medical professionals. We look for negative stuff first. It's just in our human nature with that, right? Is it gonna hurt our customer? Is it gonna hurt me? I don't care whether it works or not, but first thing I want to know is it hurt me. And that's actually when any drug is being tested as to be approved, that's the first thing you do. First test is it's going to hurt someone. So, that's what I'm trying to look for. And actually, 4.7, and again, if we bring it down to earth a little bit. So listen, Kimmy asked me on the next month. I will see. Hopefully, I have more information on more different product, or we need more drug interaction or side effect profile, and even positive studies.
Yeah. What does you recover from exercise? Recovery in terms of it, yeah. I mean, if you think about exercise in general, is stress on your body. Good stress if you do it up to a level. Too much stress to other levels. But yes, so I take it for anxiety and sleeping too. But a lot of the reason I take it is just from inflammation, from lifting weights and just doing that kind of stuff in general. So yes, from that perspective, I wouldn't necessarily. It kind of like the way I describe it, especially the first time I tried it, it's almost like you take a deep breath and you're like, it's kind of just, so I don't know if I necessarily do it right before going to exercise if you're trying to, then put on Eye of the Tiger or something.
They go to bed at night for you.
Yeah, sure, it's good for inflammation, especially. Yeah, exactly. Especially depending on the type of exercise. Elliptical is obviously low impact to begin with, but if you're doing running or anything else, higher impact. Oh yeah, sure. Then for weight training, that kind of stuff, yes. Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Any more questions?
I'm happy for you. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
It's okay.
Okay, do you think it'll be available in tea form?
Tea form?
Oh, do you know?
Like a tea bag?
Yeah,
like a tea
like
bag?
a tea bag, like a tea form.
Honestly, I'm not sure. Now, what I can tell you is that, the way they extract it, at the end of the day, I personally think, this is my personal opinion, because from what I read upon, I think the tincture version is the best way to go. The absorption-wise, it's much better because it goes to your, mouth, through the mucosal. Pill form gets rapidly metabolized by the liver when you take the pill form. Hence, actually, even though we would recommend if you were someone to take the tincture, the oil, didn't like it, as I said, there's 10 milligram per ml, right? So the starting dose will be 10 milligram, right, with the tincture. With the pill, I actually recommend 15 milligram, and that's what we have because it gets metabolized out by the body. It also takes a little longer to work. it works, but it still take a little longer to work. So, you know, in that sense, and again, they're making gummy bears out of it. I mean, I'm pretty sure one day I actually talked to a gentleman who, a customer came in and said, yeah, he's in the food industry and they're trying to make a CBD drink out of it. So listen, anything is possible, but at the end of the day, what I'm trying to get to is that we want to find, as a pharmacist, I want to find the most efficacious method that will work at a minimum amount, the minimum side effect, with the minimum interaction with your medications.
Fun fact on the food, or fun for me at least, but fun fact on the food side, the FDA is considering for things like gummies, chocolate, you know, whatever else you can put it in, they're considering treating it not as a dietary supplement, but as a food additive. So in that sense, they would change the regulation on that in particular, not for, you know, taking it like a supplement like this, but if it's an ingredient in something, technically that could fall under their jurisdiction. So that's kind of still like a legal gray area.
And also, I mean, think about it, that bottle right now we have, the 600 milligrams, is $90. If you're walk into a store, they have a CBD candy for $5. I mean, the extraction is different as we do the extraction level and the purity on it, you know.
Well, I think what they're doing, the marketing industry is capitalizing on it. You know, there are placebo effect. People think, oh, this is, and they'll buy the gummies and say, oh, it was wonderful, and it actually was just a placebo effect.
It may have been the sugar, honestly. That makes you feel better. Any more questions today? Yes.
Are there any doctors who are prescribing it for glaucoma?
As of right now, no. Nobody. I mean,
it's not approved.
Now, right. That's number one. For an eye doctor, I really don't think there's just so many great different eye drops out there for glaucoma. To do CBD oil instead of that, I really don't see that happening as of right now.
This is my last one. I'm sorry. If this was a medication, what class of drug would it fall into?
I mean, right now, it's over the counter. So in that case, unless they will add, now, I don't know the answer to that question, but my guess is, if they're willing to add THC in it, okay, which has a psychoactive effect, but if they're willing to add that in there because whatever medicinal effect, that small medicinal effect that it has, just like Sativex, then they will probably accordingly change the scheduling of the medication. So, you know, as of right now, the reason they made it over the counter is because it's that safe. They believe that it's that safe. Okay?
Any other questions?
Bravo.
Well, thank you so much for coming today. Yes. I really appreciate coming today. And listen, there are many other things that we touched upon today when it comes to eyes, anti-inflammatory. There are many different other safer, you know, affect memories as well. There are many different supplements that I personally recommend, and I will tell you more about it. So, you know, more natural way of doing things. Okay? Any more questions? Please, I'm here almost every day. So.
And if you guys have any other suggestions for topics for other seminars like this too, let us know. This is something we want to try to do more frequently as well. So,
This is very nice. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys for coming. We appreciate it.
Yeah, $90 right now.